That one sentence had been forced out through sheer will, and Sylvia never expected to be shut down so brutally by Cassandra, who didn't even bother to save her a shred of dignity. Sylvia Shaw's face went deathly pale. She clenched her fists, her gaze fixed on Liam as if she were telling a joke, but her tone was dead serious. "You'd better be good to Liam. If I find out you're bullying him, I won't let you get away with it." Cassandra, who had just started to relax, instantly bristled like a lioness whose territory had been invaded. In a flash, she moved to stand protectively in front of Liam. "What did you say? Say that again." Seeing the storm gathering on Cassandra's face, Sylvia felt a flicker of satisfaction, as if a bit of her frustration had been vented. She grew bolder, repeating her words without a hint of restraint. "I said, you'd better be good to Liam. If I find out you're bullying him, what are you doing?" Before Sylvia could finish, Cassandra ripped the delicate blusher veil from her face. Her eyes, as sharp and cold as razor blades, locked on Sylvia. The calm atmosphere shattered, the air crackling with tension. "Sis," Stephen Shaw muttered, but seeing the dangerous glint in his sister's eyes, he instinctively shook his head at Liam. But Liam's attention wasn't on the brewing fight. He was turning Sylvia's words over in his mind. Something about them felt off. Wait a minute, he thought. Why does this whole scene make me feel like some damsel in distress being fought over? Since when do I need them to protect me? "I suggest you shut your damn mouth," Cassandra said, her eyes narrowing as her signature aura of dominance filled the space. "Or I will rip it off your face right now." Each word was a threat, promising that in the next second, she would lunge forward and flip Sylvia's wheelchair over. But Sylvia, never one to back down, leaned on the presence of her brother and raised an eyebrow. "No matter what, I'm Liam's sister. I won't let you bully him." Hearing that, something clicked for Liam. He had been about to step in to defend his wife, but now he realized he didn't need to. It was a rare thing to hear Sylvia call herself his sister. It had been a long, long time. But Liam's gaze was drawn irresistibly back to Cassandra. She held the torn veil in her hands, her body leaning forward, and even in profile, her eyes were fierce. "God, that's cute," he thought. "It's been too long since I've seen that possessive streak." His expression softened instantly, his eyes filled with nothing but adoration for his wife. He remembered that look from their early days. He remembered the second time they'd been together, when she had been so impossibly domineering, straddling him without a single thought for his opinion. Honestly, Liam had to admit he was still a man. And while his mind had struggled to accept her dominance back then, his body's reaction had been far quicker and far more honest than he'd ever anticipated. He remembered how it had been that time. Cassandra, filled with a fiery, furious passion, conquering him completely. Sometimes, Liam felt it was a cruel joke of biology. All it took was for her to get a little aggressive, and he was hopelessly, helplessly turned on. Just like now, down below, little Liam was predictably standing at attention. What could he do? Faced with this aggressive, imperious, unbelievably hot version of Cassandra, Liam could only think one thing. Thinking about my own wife. That can't be illegal, right? "Dad, you're not staying for a few more days? You're leaving already." The moment the wedding banquet ended, Caleb and Catherine Thorne were packing their things to leave. Riley watched them, her expression mournful, with a stone-faced Cassandra standing beside her. With their parents around, Cassandra had been relatively tame all day, but the thought of them leaving made Riley genuinely upset. "The company is a mess, honey. The fact that your father could even take a full day off is a miracle," Catherine said, her tone serious but loving. "Riley, you stick with your sister and brother-in-law. Use this time to learn a thing or two about running a business. We have a huge empire, and you'll have to start pulling your weight eventually." Catherine sighed, now that Cassandra and Liam were so happy together, and after all the turmoil they'd been through, she figured their honeymoon would last for months, at a minimum. Ever since Cassandra had stepped back, the entire weight of Zenith Corp had fallen on Caleb's shoulders. The two of them felt guilty about how much they'd put on their daughter, so they'd taken over without a second thought. But if you could be relaxing, who would choose to work? Caleb caught Liam's eye and waved him over. Seeing the gesture, Liam gave Cassandra's hand a gentle pat and walked over. "Liam, my boy, have you two decided on how long you'll be on your honeymoon? Riley mentioned she and Chloe were going to plan something for us. We were just going to leave it up to them," Liam said, instantly guessing Caleb's true motive. With a slight glint in his eye, he expertly passed the buck to Riley. Riley's mouth twitched, but she couldn't find the words to object. Nearby, Princess Anna and Lord Charles, who were also preparing to leave, saw the exchange and ambled over. "For your honeymoon, my boy, I have several properties. If there's anywhere you'd like to go, just present this." Charles pulled a heavy, ornate medallion from his coat pocket and handed it to Liam. Most places will recognize it. Liam glanced down at it. An eagle's head, the symbol of the royal family. He hadn't expected that at all and quickly thanked him. Or just give me a call if you need anything at all, Anna added with a warm smile. I'll arrange everything. If you're going on a honeymoon, you should do it properly and have fun. That was the last straw for Caleb. Feeling a sudden, sharp sense of rivalry over his son-in-law, he clapped a heavy hand on Liam's shoulder. Liam, you can go wherever you want. The Thorne family has plenty of properties, too. I'll send out a notice immediately identifying you as my son-in-law. Go anywhere you please, and no one will dare stop you. It was now or never. If he didn't stake his claim, Charles would brazenly poach his son-in-law right in front of him. At that, Charles got fired up. Now, Caleb, that's not right. The children have their own ideas. Let them go where they want to go. If Liam is interested, the doors of the royal family are always open to him. You old fox. The tale is showing now, isn't it? Let me be perfectly clear. Liam is going to take over my family's business one day. He's the only son-in-law I've got. As for your royal family, you can go find a cooler corner to stand in. Seeing the two old men were about to start bickering again, Liam's mouth twitched. He pocketed the medallion, spun around, and made a beeline back to Cassandra. 7 years later, in the living room of Maplewood Manor, two children, looking as if they were cast from the same mold, stared intently at a large projection screen on the wall. In front of it stood a woman with glasses, pointing at the words and teaching them syllable by syllable. Teacher, why haven't I ever seen any other students like us? The short-haired little boy piped up in a milky voice. On my tablet, I see teachers teaching lots of students at once. Why'd I only get to have class with Alara? Hey, sis, why'd you hit me? Before he could finish, the long-haired little girl next to him, dressed in a custom-made silk dress, punched him in the arm. Julian, what's that supposed to mean? You feel wronged having to listen to a lesson with me? Alara immediately raised her little fists, looking ready for a brawl. Teacher, look at her. She's bullying me again. Julian clutched his head, looking to the woman for help. The teacher in front of the projector gave an awkward smile. Alara, honey, hitting is not okay. We can talk about our problems peacefully. We can't bully our classmates. Who's bullying a classmate? He's my brother. I can hit him however I want. You're just a teacher my mom hired. What gives you the right to boss me around? Alara's face flushed red as she pointed an accusing finger at the tutor. The teacher was completely blindsided. She stood frozen, utterly embarrassed, and unable to utter a word. Julian, seeing the teacher's silence, got annoyed. Teacher, what are you spacing out for? It doesn't take this long to teach one word from the alphabet. All you do is teach this boring stuff every day. These words are so easy. Do we even need to learn them? It's so lame. Alara grabbed Julian's arm. Julian, let's go play in the study. This class is useless. Okay. In a master bedroom, just off the living room, Liam watched the scene unfold with a troubled expression. Seeing the two children run towards the elevator, he sighed and turned back to Cassandra, who was lounging on the sofa. Seriously, honey, are you really not going to let Alara and Julian go to school? On the sofa, Cassandra was half reclined. 7 years had left no mark on her, save for a gently rounding belly and a soft fullness to her face that gave her a mature, womanly allure. She didn't even open her eyes, having already guessed what had happened outside. She's not qualified, she said lightly. Then fire her. Have Haley find a few more tutors. Liam fell silent. He looked at Cassandra, then back at the living room, where the teacher stood with a look of existential crisis on her face. He sighed again. Cassandra, I think we need to have a serious conversation about Alara and Julian's education. What's there to talk about? It's been this way for years, Cassandra yawned, looking lethargic. If they can't teach my children, it's because they're incompetent. If you don't have the skills, you don't deserve the salary. Liam took a deep breath, walked over to the sofa, and sat down. He gently took her face in his hands, forcing her to look at him. Cassandra, will you please just listen to my point of view? They had been married for years, but with him this close, looking directly into his eyes, Cassandra's heart still skipped a beat. Her cheeks flushed as she lightly bit her lower lip, her eyes darting away. Go ahead. Who's stopping you? Seeing her put up that familiar, defensive front, Liam sighed. He knew she was just playing hard to get. I think Alara and Julian are old enough. They should be in a school, learning how to be around other people. What's the point? As long as the knowledge is in their heads, that's enough. My children don't need to go to school. The response was automatic, without a moment's hesitation. It was, after all, how she herself had been raised. Cold, unsociable. It was something Liam had only truly understood after they were really together. Cassandra was a complicated person, With the people she truly loved, she was prone to saying the opposite of what she felt, and her words could be incredibly harsh. And when she didn't get her way, her forceful methods were always hard to swallow. Cassandra, I'm not saying you're wrong, but just like us when we were young, they're blank slates. All the patterns and colors are added by life, one stroke at a time. Do you really want our babies to grow up not even knowing how to treat other people? Is that important? Cassandra turned her head back, looking at Liam with absolute seriousness. Parents only want their children to be independent and learn more when they lack the confidence to provide for them. You and I have that confidence. If they don't want to deal with people, I have more than enough power to ensure they never have to. The atmosphere grew thick. Staring into Cassandra's earnest eyes, Liam suddenly felt that. She kind of had a point, but that wasn't how it worked. Liam's expression turned serious. We have the power, yes, but Alara and Julian have never been to a school. Cassandra, are you so sure they won't like it? Liam's question stopped her cold. She tilted her head, staring at him blankly, blinking as she seemed to process his words. The silence stretched, becoming awkward. Finally, Liam broke it. Cassandra, how about this? We sent Alara and Julian to school for a little while. If they like it, you can't object to my decision anymore. Of course, if they don't like it, I'll respect your choice. Gazing into his eyes, Cassandra saw only sincerity. She wanted to say something contrary, to argue back, but as if guided by some other force, she gave a slight nod. Her eyes were shining. Even after looking at that face for 7 years, and now with her cheeks softened by second pregnancy, Liam couldn't resist. Moi. He leaned down abruptly, his lips pressing against her smooth forehead. The soft sound echoed in the large bedroom, adding a layer of warm, sweet intimacy to the air. Why did you kiss me all of a sudden? Cassandra's cheeks turned the color of ripe cherries. She mumbled, pulling back slightly. It was always this defensive, endearing reaction, and every time, it made Liam's heart tremble. What's wrong with it? We're an old married couple. Can't I kiss my own wife? He curled his lip in a playfully arrogant way, deliberately saying the opposite of what he meant. Well, if you don't like it, I just won't kiss you from now on. No, you dare, she shot back, grabbing the collar of his shirt, her cheeks puffed out in a threat. If you dare not kiss me, I'll beat you up. Whoa, I'm sorry. Honey, don't move around so much. The Sterling Academy of New York. Daddy, why do we have to go to school? I don't want to go. Inside the black Porsche, Julian's little hands were clutching Liam's shirt collar, his face a mask of anxiety. Alara and I can learn just fine at home, as long as we have books. Those teachers aren't professional at all, Alara added, her tone calmer, but her expression clearly defiant. Her eyes, identical to Cassandra's, were filled with disdain. Liam sighed, stroking his children's heads and comforting them softly. Of course you have to go to school. You should have started a long time ago, really. It's just that your mother and I have different educational philosophies. Then just listen to Mommy, Alara blinked. Don't you always give in to Mommy anyway, Daddy? Silly girl. Liam gently tapped Alara's nose, his tone serious. Daddy, giving in to Mommy is what a husband does. That's between us. You two need to learn to have your own judgment. Just then, the car stopped in front of the school. Looking out the window at the grand building, Liam's lips curled into a slight smile. It's okay. Just try it out for a little while. If you don't like the atmosphere, Daddy will come pick you up. You get to make your own choice. Hearing his words, Alara blinked, a little bewildered, and turned to follow his gaze out the window. Julian, meanwhile, smacked his lips and rubbed his little tummy. Oh no, I don't think I ate enough this morning. I'm a little hungry again. Daddy, do they have snacks at school? You have to wait until lunch, Liam reminded him. After Haley Lou opened the car door, he led the two children out. All the arrangements with the school had been made long ago. Liam and Cassandra's status was now beyond that of ordinary people, so any school they considered had bent over backward to prepare for their children's arrival. Just as it was now, their car had barely pulled up before the headmaster and the lead teacher were personally rushing out to greet them. Mr. Lin, you look just as distinguished as you do online, the headmaster gushed, his smile wide and plastered on his face. The teacher beside him looked a bit more abashed. I'll leave the two of them in your care. Call me if anything comes up, Liam said, giving his children a gentle push forward as he chatted with the headmaster. Of course. No problem at all. After watching Liam get back in the car and drive away, the headmaster bent down to look at the two children, smiling. You must be Alara, and this is your brother, Julian, correct? Julian nodded blankly, but Alara just pursed her lips with a dismissive air. Mister, you couldn't figure out our names on your own? We paid good money to be here. The atmosphere instantly turned awkward. She saw the disdain in Alara's eyes. Hey, my brother's hungry. Do you have anything to eat around here? As the headmaster of an elite private school, he'd seen this kind of behavior before. He kept his smile in place and replied earnestly, "Elara, I am a headmaster. I'm the boss of this school. I'm talking to you because I care about you, not because of how much money your family paid. Since your parents have entrusted you to me, I have a duty to be your guardian. And according to school rules, you have to wait until noon to eat." What a stupid rule. That makes no sense, Elara grumbled, her heiress-like attitude a perfect copy of her mother's. But coming from small child, it had very little bite. Back at Maplewood Manor, you just let them go to school like that, without any bodyguards. Seeing Liam return empty-handed, with Haley following behind, Cassandra shot up from her seat in the living room. She was clearly on edge. What would they need bodyguards for? They're going to class, not getting into a street fight. Liam couldn't help but laugh. No, what they get bullied. Especially Elara. She's a girl. Girls are easier targets. Cassandra set her book down and stood up, one hand on her lower back. No, you can't stop me today. I'm going to school to check on them. My daughter will absolutely not be mistreated. Isn't Julian with her? Liam quickly stepped forward, placing his hands on her shoulders. Cassandra, calm down. They're 7.5. At some point, they have to learn to face things on their own. Seeing she was about to argue again, Liam quickly changed the subject with a smile. If they can't even handle this little challenge, wouldn't that make us failures as parents? His words seemed to calm her down. Thinking it over, she realized he had a point. It was like her own experience with the Thorne family's internal turmoil. She had fought her way through it step by step. She would never want her children to suffer the kind of pain and harm she had endured. But if she kept protecting them like this, they would never grow up. Once she understood this, Cassandra's expression softened, though her words were as sharp as ever. I admit you have a point. I won't send bodyguards. But if I find out they've been bullied at that school, the school won't exist tomorrow. Hearing that, Liam knew she had finally relaxed. He smiled. Don't worry about that. Forget you. If they get bullied, I'll be the first one to lose it. He guided her back to the sofa. Then now, honey, relax. I've taken care of everything over there. What about you? Does your back hurt? Want me to rub it for you? His voice softened, the gentle tone like a balm on Cassandra's frayed nerves. A pleasant tingle spread through her. She let out a soft and obediently lay on her side on the sofa, exposing her back. She frowned. Speaking of which, you should. My back has been feeling so tired lately. I didn't sleep well at all last night. Then I'll adjust my schedule. I'll catch up on sleep in the morning and stay up with you at night. As he spoke, Liam's hands were already on her full, curving waist. The feel of her soft flesh, her curves accentuated as she lay on her side, was intoxicating. Go ahead. I'm going to take a nap. I'm so tired. Cassandra mumbled, her voice already growing drowsy. Okay, sleep well. I'll carry you to bed later, Liam promised. By the time the words were out, she was already asleep. Sunlight streamed through the window, spilling onto the plush carpet. The air in the living room was filled with the warm, harmonious light of morning. It was just as it had always been, unbelievably cozy. After a while, hearing Cassandra's sleepy murmurs, Liam took a deep breath. He stood up, slipped one arm under her knees, and, with the utmost gentleness, lifted his entire world and carried her toward the bedroom. Welcome home. In the living room, hearing the car pull up outside, Liam set down the book he was reading, the Encyclopedia of Therapeutic Massage. At the doorway, Elara and Julian walked in, their little backpacks on. Neither of them looked happy. Elara's face was dark. She threw her backpack onto the table, plopped down on the sofa, and sulked. Julian let out a listless yawn and greeted Liam tiredly. Good evening, Daddy. Seeing his children like this, Liam grew curious. What's wrong? Did you not like school? Elara pouted, silently pouring herself a glass of water. Beside her, Julian shook his head. No, school was okay, I guess. But I was so sleepy this afternoon, and the teacher wouldn't let us sleep. His expression was full of grievance. He rubbed his eyes, clearly exhausted. That's how it is at school. You can't sleep during class. If you're really tired, you can nap during recess, Liam said with a smile, stroking Julian's head. His concerned gaze then shifted to Elara, who was sipping her water. Like mother, like daughter, Elara had perfectly inherited Cassandra's sharp tongue. Daddy, can I sleep with you tonight? I want you to tell me a story. Julian burrowed into Liam's lap, rubbing his little face against Liam's shirt like a kitten. The soft, warm little bundle made Liam's heart melt. He gently tweaked Julian's nose and chuckled. You're such a big boy already, and you still need Daddy to put you to sleep? If I sleep with you tonight, what about Mommy? Mommy's a grown-up. Why can't she sleep by herself? Julian muttered, his eyes welling up with tears. Daddy, you're always with Mommy or at the company. I want to sleep with you. Oomph. Julian, do you really think Daddy will sleep with you just because you're acting cute? You're dreaming. Alara, who had been silent, suddenly interjected. This was strange. The kids had never insisted on sleeping with him before. A single day at school, and suddenly this? Liam was genuinely baffled. He cupped Julian's small face and asked softly, Julian, tell Daddy the truth. Did something happen at school today? Were you bullied? How could we get bullied? My sister beat up her desk mate as soon as we got there, and the teacher made us stand in the corner. Julian complained, shooting a resentful look at Alara. He could understand it. He and his sister were in the same class. So what did her hitting someone have to do with him? All he did was yell, good job, from the side. Was that so wrong? Liam's expression froze. Before he could ask what happened, he saw Alara jump up, hands on her hips, fuming. So what? She deserved it. Who told her to touch my backpack without my permission? Daddy bought me that backpack personally. Besides me, no one is worthy of touching it. Sis, you have the nerve to say that? Didn't the teacher try to mediate? The girl was just trying to help you put your backpack in your desk cubby, and you just grabbed her hair without a word. Liam. And here he was, worried about his two kids starting at a new school, being the new transfers, afraid they'd get bullied. Turns out, on their very first day, they were the ones doing the bullying. This was truly Cassandra's legacy. Sigh. Liam let out a long breath, his face growing serious. Alara, is what your brother said true? The atmosphere suddenly tensed. Seeing her father's stern expression, Alara visibly flinched, shrinking back on the sofa, but the look on her little face was still stubbornly defiant. She touched my backpack without asking. I was being easy on her. She mumbled, her eyes darting away. Liam cleared his throat, his gaze fixed on her as his voice grew stern. Alara, do you know what you did wrong? At the sound of his tone, Alara visibly panicked. She put down her glass, and her big eyes immediately reddened. Seeing the little munchkin looking so adorable, Liam's expression softened slightly. He took a deep breath and spoke rationally. This is exactly why I wanted you two to go to school. I know you're both very smart. You learn everything instantly. But at home, you only have each other as playmates. You're brother and sister. You won't hurt each other. But you have to learn how to deal with people outside our family. Alara knew that when Liam started talking to them with this grave, heartfelt tone, it meant he was truly angry. She blinked her big eyes, smart enough to see he was just trying to teach her a lesson. But it was something you bought for me, Daddy, she murmured. I don't want other people to touch it. Then you have to tell them beforehand. You have to tell people what you like and what you don't like. If someone insists on doing something you don't like, then Daddy will support you in using any means necessary to solve the problem. Provided, of course, that you don't get hurt yourself. Liam smiled at Alara. He knew she understood. Though the two children were born only minutes apart, for some reason, Alara, the older sister, leaned more towards independence and pride, while Julian was more of a lovable little troublemaker who pretended to know more than he did. With their faces so closely resembling his and Cassandra's, Liam sometimes felt like he was looking at miniature versions of themselves. Alara blinked and nodded heavily, though her words were another story. Fine. I guess what you said makes sense. With that, she picked up her little backpack and, with a look of pure pride, started to head upstairs. In Liam's arms, Julian was already yawning repeatedly. He hugged Liam, nuzzling his head against him. Daddy, carry me to bed. I want you to tell me a story. Seeing the situation, Liam knew he had to get Julian to sleep first. He'd just have to go and keep his wife company later. Resigned, he scooped Julian up and headed for the elevator. However, just as he reached it, he saw Alara standing there, clutching her small backpack, staring at him furiously. Daddy, you're not carrying me. I'm jealous. The words were practically ground out from between her clenched teeth. Liam froze. Before he could say a word, he saw Alara's eyes redden as she ran over, her two small hands grabbing his leg. Daddy, are you mad at me? She whimpered. I know I was wrong. I want Daddy to put me to sleep. Her little whimpers made Liam's heart ache. The elevator doors were already open. With a twitch of his lips, he didn't say another word. He simply tucked Julian under his left arm like a football and used his free right hand to scoop Alara up by her bottom. One in each arm, directly to bed. The next morning, sunlight streamed in, blanketing the bed. On the mattress, Cassandra subconsciously reached out to the space beside her, only to find it empty. A jolt of tension shot through her. She snapped her eyes open and saw Liam, slumped over and asleep in the chair by the bed. On the nightstand, the electric kettle let out a soft drip-drip as it kept the water warm. The atmosphere was perfectly serene. Warm sunlight filled the bedroom, creating a peaceful, harmonious scene. As if sensing her movement, Liam groggily opened his eyes. Honey, you're awake? Is your stomach bothering you again? I'll get you some water. He started to get up, automatically reaching for the kettle. Seeing this, for some unknown reason, Cassandra's eyes instantly welled with tears. The initial panic of waking up to find him gone, only to see him right there beside her. It was as if caring for her had become a part of his subconscious. Why are your eyes red? Did you not sleep well last night? I'll help you to the bathroom in a bit, and when we get back, I'll rub your back for you, okay? Putting down the water, Liam noticed her teary eyes and quickly spoke. However, before he could finish, Cassandra lifted her arms and mumbled, "Want a hug?" After all this time together, it was rare for Liam to see such a tender side of Cassandra. Without a second thought, he immediately stood and enveloped her in a hug. "What's wrong? Are you feeling down?" Riley said she's coming back today, and Leo and Chloe are coming over too. How about you let them hang out with you for a bit? Don't want to, Cassandra mumbled, her voice full of a rare vulnerability. Why weren't you lying next to me last night? I woke up and couldn't find you. You scared me to death. Silly girl, Liam responded with a soft laugh. He released her and gently tapped her smooth forehead. I was right here. How could you not find me? Besides, when I came in last night, you were sleeping so soundly. And our baby was being good, right? As he spoke, he suddenly leaned down, pressing his ear against Cassandra's small belly. You're annoying, Cassandra grumbled, though her mood had clearly improved. She couldn't help but smile. You're the silly one. It's barely been 3 months. What could it possibly hear? Hearing her joke, Liam knew her mood had lifted. He looked up, grinning. Feeling better? My mood was never bad to begin with, okay? Cassandra lifted her chin, her proud expression returning. Liam let out a sigh of relief, but his gaze fell to her stomach. You know, Cassandra, seriously, I don't want you to have to go through another pregnancy at this age. His tone was laced with helplessness. The twins had been so hard on her. After that, he'd always been careful, but as time went on, Cassandra started complaining that it wasn't comfortable. And what could he do? His beautiful wife was practically begging him, deliberately getting him drunk and playing games. And, well, one night, they got a little careless. Things happened. Cassandra, however, was much more accepting. She propped herself up on a mattress and murmured, if it happened, it happened. It just proves that fate wants it this way. She suddenly looked at Liam, her eyes serious. The fate between you and me will never end. Of course not, Liam smiled, cupping her face and pressing a kiss to her forehead. Sis, brother-in-law, what time is it? Are you guys still not up? Your favorite sister is back. Just as the atmosphere was turning perfectly sweet, Riley's shout echoed from outside the door, followed by the sound of a kick. The air instantly froze. When Liam looked back, Cassandra's face was as black as thunder. His own smile was frozen in place, a dangerous glint flickering in his narrowed eyes. Completely oblivious to the danger, Riley, seeing them still cuddling in bed, threw her handbag onto the mattress and grumbled, Seriously, you two? The sun's been up for hours, and you're still acting all lovey-dovey. Breakfast is already made, you know. Liam was about to erupt when another voice sounded from behind her. Brother Liam, sister-in-law, you're not up yet. At the bedroom door, Chloe Xia's head popped into view, with Leo's arms steadying her at the frame. After so much time abroad, the family was finally all together again. At the sight of Chloe, Cassandra's expression softened considerably. A smile touched her lips as she looked at the bubbly girl. Chloe, you're back? Why didn't you tell us? I would have had Evelyn pick you up. Isn't Evelyn on her honeymoon with Dr. Aiden? No need to bother them right now. I could just take a taxi. Chloe laughed, snatching a large package from Leo's hands and walking over. Sister-in-law, Leo, and I bought you guys some souvenirs. We didn't know what you'd like, so we just got a little bit of everything. She unzipped the package and unceremoniously dumped its contents onto the carpet. An assortment of porcelain vases and jars, too many to count, spilled out. Looking at the exquisitely carved porcelain, Liam's mouth twitched. He deadpanned. Chloe, I thought you guys went to the Maldives. Yeah, but we saw these there and they looked nice, so we brought them back, Chloe said, crouching down with a completely unconcerned expression. Next to her, Leo just scratched his head, looking a bit sheepish. Liam raised an eyebrow. So, you went to the Maldives and bought antique Swiss clocks. So what? They were pretty, so we bought them. That's what Leo said. I didn't even really want them at first, but Leo said if I liked them, we should just buy them all. It made me happy, and it wasn't that much money anyway. Chloe's face was beaming, radiating pure, unadulterated joy. She's not wrong about that, Cassandra nodded with a smile. In life, being happy was what mattered. If you could buy happiness, that was still happiness. Seeing herself being ignored, Riley walked over, looking displeased. Sis, I bought you stuff too. Why aren't you praising me? Before she could finish, she saw her sister sitting on the edge of the bed, her attention completely captivated by the pile of gifts Chloe had brought. Riley pouted and trotted over to Liam's side. "Brother-in-law, look at my sister. I brought you guys presents too." She reached out, about to loop her arm through Liam's, but a hand shot out from the side. Cassandra slapped Riley's wrist away. "Don't make me smack you." Riley. Knowing this was just how the two sisters interacted, Liam chuckled and picked up the bag Riley had tossed on the bed. "All right, let's see what our dear Riley brought us." At the mention of her gifts, Riley's pouty face instantly lit up with excitement. She rushed forward, chattering excitedly. "I've got signed photos from my concert tour. Oh, and brother-in-law, I'm planning to hold my concert in New York City this year. It's in a few months. You all have to come and support me." Over the years, under the subtle and not-so-subtle persecution of Liam and Cassandra, Riley Thorne had first spent a year as a grunt at Zenith Corp before running off to a conservatory abroad to refine her musical craft. It was only in the last few years that she had begun to make a name for herself in the entertainment industry again. Chloe and Leo, on the other hand, had started their own company after finishing their degrees, linking up with Liam's grandfather's factory and leveraging their network of contacts to revitalize the entire Anshin neighborhood. Though they rarely all gathered in one place, seeing how much they had changed filled Liam with a profound sense of nostalgia. The road they had all traveled had been anything but easy. A concert. Chloe's eyes lit up at the mere mention of the word, practically glowing. "Can you get me backstage? Who's on the lineup? Is Bon Jovi going to be there?" "He hasn't been as active in the industry lately," Riley said, her tone suddenly serious. "Paige sent him an invitation on my behalf, but I have no idea if he'll actually show up." That was all Chloe needed to hear. She scurried forward, grabbing Riley's arm, her eyes shining. "You have to save me a seat. I want to be in the front row. The very front." Beside her, Leo's expression soured. "Who's Bon Jovi? He's only like the most famous rock star ever." Chloe gushed, practically bouncing. "He's my idol. If I could get his autograph and a picture with him, I could die happy." Leo said nothing. The atmosphere grew wonderfully awkward. Watching the scene unfold, Cassandra couldn't help but let out a soft laugh. Noticing the shift in his wife's mood, Liam leaned over with a smile. "Feeling better?" "Humph," Cassandra scoffed, lifting her chin with that familiar, imperious look. "Not at all." "Honey," Liam cooed, blinking playfully. "Are you sure? Because the corners of your mouth are turning up." "I was just thinking about how I used to be the one getting jealous over you," Cassandra said, her expression turning serious. Her right hand rested on her lower abdomen as she gazed at Chloe and Leo, a wistful look in her eyes. She and Liam had been married for 7 years now. It was Chloe and Riley who were in their prime, and in them she saw echoes of her past self. But as she spoke, a frown creased her brow. "Liam, now that I think about it, it's always been me getting jealous of you. It seems you've never once been jealous over me." Liam was momentarily caught off guard by the abrupt change of topic. But Cassandra was already lost in her thoughts, her mind racing through a highlight reel of their past. She summoned 100 different memories, but couldn't find a single instance of Liam showing a hint of jealousy. "Wait a minute." She shot her arm out, grabbing his. Her eyes narrowed, suddenly sharp and accusatory. "Liam, you really have never been jealous for this young lady." The moment the words were out, Riley and Chloe exchanged a knowing look. In perfect sync, they grabbed Leo and scurried out of the room, gently pulling the door shut behind them. Hearing the soft click of the latch, Liam's mouth twitched. He turned to Cassandra, a look of utter bewilderment on his face. "Well," Cassandra's voice rose, her imperious this young lady persona now fully engaged. It was clear she was genuinely angry. She tightened her grip on his arm. "This isn't fair. How can you have absolutely no possessiveness over me? Why aren't you jealous? You don't love me, do you? And here I've been in love with you for all these years, and you just..." Seeing her spiral, Liam sighed. This wasn't just her being unreasonable. This was the kind of loss of control that only came from loving someone to the absolute extreme. He stopped listening to the words. He simply lifted his hand, tilted her chin up, leaned down, and kissed her. "What were you doing?" A blush instantly spread across Cassandra's cheeks, warm and rosy like a winter sunrise. It was adorable. No matter how many years passed, that was always Liam's first thought when he saw her like this. It made him want to tease her, or rather, it made him want to see her blush even deeper. "Why did you just kiss me? Did I say you could?" she rambled, her voice a flustered murmur. "You're so disrespectful. On top of never getting mad at me, you're always so presumptuous. You think a little kiss is going to make me swoon? I hate you." She turned her head away, her gaze fixed on the floor. The fine strands of her hair fell across her forehead, hiding her eyes. But through them, Liam could still see her bashful expression. Truly adorable. A classic tsundere, always saying the opposite of what she meant. "But you liked it, didn't you?" he asked, his calm voice cutting through her tirade. "I." The sudden interruption brought her monologue to a screeching halt. For a split second, Cassandra's brain blanked. She looked up instinctively, her eyes meeting his. He was staring right at her. His gaze collided with hers, just like it had on countless nights before. They had weathered so many storms together. It was always in the dead of night that he looked at her with such intensity. Sometimes Cassandra couldn't tell if he loved her or if he loved her body. But did it really matter? He was always there. For 7 years, that hadn't changed. So, did jealousy really matter? Wasn't he always by her side? As long as he was happy, as long as he was with her willingly, wasn't that enough? Time was the ultimate test of everything. Weren't 7 years proof enough? "I'm sorry," she whispered, her head bowing. Liam, who had been about to tease her further, froze. Why was she apologizing? He was the one who was supposed to be soothing her. Why was she saying she was sorry? She hadn't done anything wrong. What was she apologizing for? "I shouldn't have lost control like that. It's my fault. I don't know what came over me. In that moment, I felt so frustrated. I don't want to be like this. It's just, I suddenly remembered that you've never been possessive of me, and it made me so angry. I was so upset." "I'm sorry," she said again, lifting her face to look at him. "Maybe it's because I need you so much." It was a look Liam had never seen before. They had been together for 7 years. She had always been proud, arrogant. Liam had never understood why she couldn't just say what she meant, but over time, he'd come to understand. Because he was the same way. Two proud, stubborn people would never have ended up together if not for a bond forged by life and death. Because neither of them would ever be the first to yield. But now his wife, because she loved him, had broken that rule countless times. She had to love him to the ends of the earth to make herself so vulnerable, to always be the one to take the first step. She was reaching out to him. If he didn't accept it, he'd be a real monster. "Don't say another word." Liam gently cupped her face in his hands. This was his wife, the love of his life. He would always love her. Why? Because she loved him. That was the foundation of it all. It had to be because she loved him that he, in turn, loved her. And besides, he was her husband, wasn't he? "I love you." Are we really going to do this now? We haven't even had breakfast." "Shut up," Liam muttered, gently pushing her down onto the bed. "I'm not going to touch you. You're pregnant," he said, his voice a low growl. "But please don't move, because I need a minute to calm down." Riley. On a bright weekend morning, Riley Thorne, decked out and ready for a shopping spree, was stopped at the door by Chloe Sia. She turned around, looking puzzled. "What's wrong?" Chloe hurried over, clutching her phone. After a nervous glance around, she leaned in and whispered, "I have a secret to tell you, but you can't tell anyone." "A secret?" Riley's eyes lit up. A wide grin spread across her face. "Don't worry. Your Aunt Riley isn't the type to gossip. You can tell me anything. I won't let a third person know." Chloe stared at her for a long moment, then let out a deep breath. She leaned close to Riley's ear, hesitated, and finally said, "Actually, let's go over there. It's not a good place to talk here." "Honestly, what's so important we have to sneak into a corner to talk about it?" Riley grumbled, but followed Chloe to the small alcove outside the study. Inside the study, Julian Lynn stared at the worksheet on his desk titled Arithmetic within 100 and sank into a deep, existential gloom. "Alara, why do we have to do these stupid problems?" he whined. "This is torture. I memorized my multiplication tables ages ago." "Quiet," Alara snapped, without looking up from her own work. She gave Julian a light smack on the head. "Did you forget what Dad said? Repetition builds muscle memory. We have to follow the rules of wherever we are." "Oomph." Julian rubbed his head, aggrieved. He shot Alara a resentful look, then took a deep breath, set down his pencil, and looked toward the door. As his gaze shifted, he noticed two heads bobbing behind the frosted glass. Instantly, his interest was piqued. "Alara, stop doing your homework. Quick, look. Is that Aunt Riley and Aunt Chloe?" Alara, who had been deep in concentration solving a pre-algebra equation, was startled by the sudden interruption. Annoyed, she was about to give Julian a piece of her mind when she followed his gaze and saw the two heads moving behind the glass. "That's weird. Didn't Aunt Riley say she was going out today? And I thought Aunt Chloe had a date with Uncle Leo." Julian tiptoed to the door, pressed his ear against the glass, and stuck his butt out, a puzzled expression on his face. Seeing this, Alara glanced back at her nearly solved problem, hesitated for a moment, and then got up to join her brother, striking the exact same eavesdropping pose. Outside the frosted glass, Riley was frowning at a secretive-looking Chloe. "Chloe, what is it you want to tell me?" Just spit it out. There's no one here to hear us. My sister went to the hospital for a checkup, and my brother-in-law went with her. No one else is home. Sure. Chloe held a finger to her lips theatrically, her expression dead serious. Okay, so my mom just called me. She said that tomorrow is what? Riley asked, completely baffled. It's, Chloe agonized for another moment before finally blurting it out. It's my brother's birthday. What? Riley exclaimed in disbelief. Wait, you dragged me all the way over here just to tell me that? You guys didn't know his birthday before? Mom said she was in a coma when she was pregnant with him, and he was delivered by C-section. She only just found out the date after doing some research. Chloe explained, looking pained. Riley, we've all been scattered for so long. Now that we're finally together, my brother has suffered so much over the years. He's never had a proper birthday. If a person doesn't even have anyone to celebrate their birthday with. My brother has never said anything, but I was thinking, since we're all here, I wanted to invite you to help me throw him a birthday party. A birthday? Inside the study, Julian turned to Alara, confused. Alara, has Dad never celebrated his birthday before? Alara thought for a moment. Her little face scrunched up in concentration. Now that you mention it, she said hesitantly, I don't think Dad has ever had a birthday party. Outside the glass door. Chloe, why didn't you say so sooner? Riley cried out aghast. Your brother-in-law has never even had a birthday? That's so sad. I know, I just found out from my mom, Chloe said, grabbing Riley's arm. Riley, let's do it now. We can decorate the living room. You can text your sister and let her know. When my brother gets home tonight, we'll give him a surprise. Deal. Inside the study, once the voices outside had faded, Julian and Alara looked at each other. The air was thick with silence. After a long moment, Alara spoke slowly. Julian, I think we should do something to... Julian didn't speak, just nodded silently, his eyes filled with determination. Dad, you didn't even talk to me about this. You just transferred the whole company to me. In Cassandra's top-floor office at Zenith Corp, Liam held his phone, his voice laced with disbelief. On the other end of the line, Caleb Thorne chuckled breezily. Liam, my boy, your mother and I are getting old. It's time for us to retire. From now on, the Thorne family business is your business. You've been by my side for years. I have complete faith in you. You'll do great. Liam, honey, don't call back, Catherine's voice chimed in. Your father and I are in the Maldives. The international rates are outrageous. Bye-bye now. The line went dead. Liam was silent for a moment, then completely lost his temper and hurled his phone across the room. Damn it. What kind of parents are these? So unreliable. Who wants this stupid company? Are they trying to work me to death? After a string of curses, Liam took a deep breath and stared at the two thick stacks of documents on the desk. His head was pounding. Well, that was that. The #1 company in New York City had just fallen into his lap. For years, Cassandra had been his shield, deflecting her parents' attempts to hand over the reins. But now, all these years later, the job had finally landed on him. Let someone else be the chairman. He really didn't want the job. For the rest of the afternoon, Liam was buried in paperwork. Thanks to Cassandra's meticulous nature, nearly every single matter in the company, big or small, had to be reviewed by the chairman. He worked straight through until 9 o'clock that evening. Slumping into the car for the ride home, Liam managed to catch a short nap. By the time he arrived at Maplewood Manor, it was past 10 o'clock. All the lights in the villa were out. Glancing at the time, Liam figured everyone was already asleep. Not wanting to disturb them, he got out of the car and crept quietly toward the entrance. But the moment he stepped inside, the lights in the grand hall flickered to life. As the bright light flooded the room, several familiar voices shouted in unison. Happy birthday, brother! Happy birthday, brother-in-law! Chloe and Riley stood there, holding party poppers, beaming at him. Happy birthday, Daddy! Alara and Julian were holding bouquets of flowers, their bright, smiling faces peeking out from behind the blooms. Liam snapped back to reality. It dawned on him, in his 30s, that today was his actual birthday. And there, in the center of it all, sitting in a chair near the base of the staircase, was Cassandra. She rested a hand on her swollen belly, her usual icy demeanor gone, replaced by eyes full of deep, unwavering love. Welcome home, she said softly. Happy birthday, honey. The end.